This is all you will need to start making your sushi. Your board, a bowl of water, and a bowl of rice already cooked. And nori, the seaweed, the flat seaweed sheets that you will need to wrap your sushi with. Here is one piece, which I'm putting on the board. You will also need rice vinegar. And the first thing you do is actually take this rice vinegar and you put some in your rice. Your rice has already been cooked, it's room temperature, and all you do is you add a few splashes of the vinegar inside. You then wet your hands. You wet your hands pretty well because the rice is sticky, and having your hands wet will keep you from getting the rice stuck all over them. So now we're going to manipulate the rice. With the wet hands, we kind of go through the rice and we separate the grains. You're seeing it here, how it's done. You just basically massage the rice and you split up all the clumps so that all the grains are kind of individual. You wet your hands again and again so the rice doesn't keep sticking on it. So you keep on pressing it and massaging it until it gets to a point where you can actually mold it into a nice shape just by pressing lightly. You can see it's a nice molded shape of individual grains. Now our rice is ready and we're ready to go rolling. What we do now is the hardest step perhaps. We're applying the rice on the sheet of nori. We're going to apply it on a very, very thin layer, a couple of grains thick, and we're going to keep on wetting our hands and applying it gently, leaving margins on the two sides of the nori sheet. Again, we wet our hands to make sure that the rice doesn't stick very well, and then we just keep on pushing it around until it's nicely spread evenly, like wallpapering the nori. And here we're done, and it's ready. Once that is ready, that was the most difficult step. The fun starts. We're going to use some cut vegetables to spread on the rice. I'm using black radish here, which I have chopped into very fine pieces, and I'm also using carrot. Here we go. The carrot goes on, and here it is in little strips. You just make sure you just cover the whole length. And how much do you put? It's up to you. Now we're putting the radish, which gives a nice crunch and a nice taste. It's nice to use crunchy vegetables for this step. Then the mayo. Mayo is ready. I'm using homemade. I made it myself. And you just kind of spread it. It's a little messy. You spread it with your finger and a spoon on top of the already cut vegetables. And here it is. You put as much as you really like. You can also be very fancy and make green mayonnaise like I do sometimes. Another option is to use tuna out of a can, and which you will spread again the same way that we spread the vegetables, and then you can add your vegetables as well and add some sesame seeds, and you have a more colorful sushi with tuna. We continue now with the roll. We're now ready to roll the sushi. I'm not using any machines or any molds or anything else to do it. I'm just rolling it with the bare hands. It's not hard. You roll it over and then you kind of squeeze it together. You see what I'm going to do here is I'm tightening the roll. I will show you once again. You want to push that way towards the back. And this is the nice step that you get the hang of it after you do it a couple of times. In any case, if the results are not great, it's still delicious sushi. So you keep on squeezing backwards and forming the cylinder of the sushi. And you keep on tightening at all times. You want to tighten it so that it's nice and solid, but you don't want to over tighten it so that you rip the nori apart. It's looking pretty good right now, and I'm giving it a final squeeze towards the end, as you say, step by step, and it's pretty ready. Now I'm gonna roll it, and that's a very pleasurable moment. The thing rolls together, and it's pretty ready. The last thing we need to do is now to seal it. You seal it just like you put a postage stamp on an envelope. You wet your fingers and you apply the water from your fingers along the final edge of the nori. So there you go, you just put a little bit, you just keep wetting your fingers, the nori is very dry and will absorb the water, and then you just roll the thing. You roll it back and forth a few times so that it seals well. It's a good idea often to put a little bit of extra, to wet your fingers again, and put a little bit of extra water on top of the seam so that it gets glued very well. That'll keep it nice and well rolled as well. And here it is. Here is our sushi roll. It's ready to be cut. With tuna, it would look like this, more colorful. And we're now ready to cut it. We need a nice sharp knife. I use a Japanese knife, and the knife should be wet because the rice will stick against the knife. So here we go. We're cutting the little pieces. You can cut them as thick or thin as you want. It depends on the diameter of the sushi, whether you want to pop one right into your mouth or whether you want to bite into them. As the knife gets messy, we put some more water on it. You see it's a little messy now from the mayonnaise. You just put a little bit more water so that it slides through the rice without sticking. Here we go. We keep on cutting all the pieces one after another. And they're looking good. As you can see, the key test has been passed. The sushi is holding together through the knife. So it's not falling apart. The seams are good. And here we go. We turn them over and they look pretty good. They're not perfectly round, but who cares? They're tasty and delicious and they look good. And this is what they look like. As you can see, they're pretty solid. I can handle them without any problem. Now it's the finishing touches. It's ready to eat actually, but we can also put wasabi on it, which I make myself. Here it is. I have mixed wasabi. You'll find another recipe at Foodies Plus for how to make your own wasabi. You just put a little bit because a little bit goes a long way. The thing is hot and spicy. And here it is with the wasabi on it. Another option is to put black sesame seeds. Black sesame looks like this, and you can sprinkle the sesame seeds on top, and it looks better and tastes better, and that's what it looks like. The final part is how you're going to serve it. I serve it the messy American way. I put some soy sauce on a plate, and then I take the piece of sushi and I dip it into it, and pop it goes into my mouth. So now you've learned to make sushi in under 7 minutes using very basic and cheap ingredients that you can easily find, and no excuses not to have it all the time. Bon appétit!